They call me the Doctor.
I'm the Doctor.
I am the Doctor.
I'm the Doctor. I'm the Doctor.
I am the Doctor.
I'm the Doctor.
I'm the Doctor.
Greetings, humans, Daleks, Time Lords, and creepy Scarecrows. You're listening to Exterminating Doctor Who.
This is the show where we take Doctor Who's most popular episodes and debate if they're really as good as their reputations.
With your hosts, Aidan Gula.
And me, George Ellis.
And in today's episode, we are talking about human nature / the family of blood.
Yes, we are. And we've mentioned this two-parter a fair bit before.
Yes.
Being the,
I believe it is in both our top 5 episodes ever.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I was going into this thinking, I need some, I'm in a bad mood today. And I was thinking, he's giggling because I understand.
And also because it's the third week in a row on this podcast.
Thank God. Parents, if you're listening to this, they did come up last week at the weekend and they were like, oh, do you want to go out? And I was like, this seems like nicely timed. Do they watch the podcast? Are you watching? They're just like watching this and thinking,
I'm going to go up again this weekend.
No, but in a bad mood. And sometimes with this series of our podcast, you have like a really... We do an episode which is actually really quite shit. But usually, because we're doing the best, like the episodes that are good reputation, they're good. And it's especially fortunate we're doing this one this week because I really needed a really good episode. So I was going into this with honestly really high hopes because I needed it to be good. So higher hopes than I usually go into it because I know it's good anyway. And it's phenomenal as always. The two-parter is such a beautiful... It's got so many layers to it. It is a beautiful... kind of exploration of the Doctor's character and kind of a part of the Doctor's psyche that we never really get to see. Mm. And it's also a beautiful exploration of kind of Martha, I found. I thought, there are times when I tell you I love Martha as a companion. Like she's my favourite. I love her. And you oftentimes are like, why though? And
then I watch this episode and I go, I see why you are good now.
She is...
I'm not saying I don't like Martha, but I would say I think she got a bit shafted and was a bit too much like, I love the Doctor, but he doesn't like me. And it's like, actually, yeah, she is actually basically doing... That's basically all she's doing this episode, yet it's amazing.
Yes. And I've kind of always kind of wanted to be able to just go like, watch this episode for Martha. Like just kind of like watch an episode. Like I needed one. And my brain's never really thought... this episode, this two-parter. Because when I used to watch it...
Because if you think this episode, you tend to think of the Doctor.
Exactly. The focus is John Smith in your mind. But honestly, I'd say Martha's the protagonist in this two-parter. Honestly. That's how it feels.
It's a split between her and Thomas Brodie Sangster, really.
Yeah, basically. It's just... Yeah, no, but I just find that really interesting about this two-parter. And the other thing it does really well, it does other things, but the other thing is the war. The way it pays its respects to the people who lost their lives in the war and also the survivors, while also making it fit very well in the world of Doctor Who without it feeling like some sort of... It's a
grand battle that we need to be like, oh. It's like a very small focus but has a massive impact.
Exactly. And it has a lot of kind of things that somewhat foreshadow the war, which is, we know it's coming, but no one in that time period does.
Yeah.
But they're like the bombings, when the family are bombing the countryside. It's like, that's what will happen in less than a year, really. And it's just, it's very, very well done. It's the way I've written it down in my notes here is it's like, it's a very good... historical in a way. Like it is a historical episode because it being set in a year before the war is something like it's without it this episode wouldn't be the same. But no. I think you forget that that's a part of the episode when you're watching it.
Yeah. It's actually the most notes I have ever written for an episode is this one.
Ever.
Most notes this entire time we've done this podcast, the most notes I've ever written is for this one. I'm just checking something just quickly. The thing I'm checking is because this is actually based on a book.
Oh, a Doctor Who book or just
a Doctor Who book? Yeah, Paul Cornell, who wrote it, also wrote
the screenplay.
Also wrote, he wrote the episode and the book, and it was from the wilderness years, so in between Classic Who and New Who coming back. He wrote this. It was originally the 7th Doctor, and I just wasn't sure where that original one was set. Oh no, here we are. Dr. John Smith lives as a history teacher at a public school in 1914 England, 1 year later, and falls in love with a fellow teacher named Joan. So yeah, it's, but there are some
Martha's obviously not in there.
No, obviously not. I just want to see, does he become human? Yeah, Smith once sacrifices himself and becomes the Doctor once more. Yes, it's a lot of similar plots, but yeah, we'll come on to that in a bit. Firstly,
we got some rumours.
We have some news and some rumours.
Oh, news is always better than rumours because news is news.
Well, the news is more looking backwards kind of way.
Right.
It's a lot of stuff about, because recently there was the Gallifrey One convention, which is the Doctor Who convention that happens in America. It's always a big deal. And Matt Stevens was there, who is the producer, like co-producer with Chris Chibnall. He's like the Julie Gardner of this era, basically. And he was telling some interesting stuff about Series 13 and the remainders of Jodie Whittaker's era. The biggest one, I thought, is that Thasmin, the whole relationship between the Doctor and Yaz, was completely unplanned. So for all those first two series 11 and 12, people going, oh, look at the romance that is brewing. There was nothing.
I didn't even see it.
It was absolutely not intended. I know I never saw it. It was just a few times the Doctor kind of gives a side glance at Yaz. People go, oh, relationship. But it was not even, wasn't even on Chris Chibnall's mind. He wasn't aware of it. The reason it appeared in either the Daleks and was kind of suggested through Series 13 is because Mandip Gill and Jodie Whittaker had seen fans speculating about it, loved the idea, went to Chris Chibnall and said, hey, this is what the fans want. Do you want to do it? And he went, good idea.
Okay.
And he wrote it down. So
that's quite nice.
Because, I've always said Jodie Whittaker not a Doctor Who fan, and you can tell it affects her performance in some ways. But I do quite like that she's actually in touch with the fan base to the point where she's seen this fan theory and things that people have wanted and gone to Chris Chibnall and said, hey, thought about this? And he's actually taken that on board and done it in the show. I do quite like that.
You aren't in touch with the fans if you don't care about what you're making. You can't be. You can't be making, if I'm making a show that I'm not interested in, I'm not going to be checking Twitter to see how fans are receiving it, that kind of thing.
You just do it, get paid, go home,
exactly.
sleep.
But it's nice to see that Jodie, even if she doesn't care about the character, cares about what the fans care about the character. And honestly, is that not more important in a way? Because of the fans what make the show. It's very.
Yeah. I did think,
but it's nice.
It did impress me, that did actually. Other things. The Sea Devils episode that we're getting next was originally planned to be her final episode, and then the BBC said, "Can we do a centenary special?" So the theory is that it's going to be very standalone, and all the Timeless Child stuff will probably be pushed to centenary, because they're saying we didn't really have that in Series 13. So we had the division, but we didn't have much more than that. They're saying with the Master being in the centenary, it seemed like we're going to push it to there. And I was thinking, why are you assuming there's going to be Timeless Child stuff anyway? I thought that, but then Matt Stevens confirmed that the Fugitive Doctor will be in it. The centenary.
Yeah, you never know. She might show up and be like, "I'm actually lying. I'm not the Doctor. I'm the accountant."
But it also, it's again that thing we were saying about it being overshadowed. It is like, that means now the Fugitive Doctor is coming back for centenary. Bradley Walsh is coming back for the centenary. The Master's coming back for the centenary. And it's rumoured Ace is coming back for the centenary.
I feel like this
centenary... And it's a bit like, this is supposed to be Jodie Whittaker's final episode. Yes, you can say David Tennant's episode, all his old companions came back for about 20 seconds each.
That was that was an epilogue, a send off.
Yeah.
That's the end. That's the tiny bit at the end of an episode that you get honestly with all of Doctor Who episodes. Like even the ones we're doing today, you have that little bit at the end.
Denouement. I've already told you what the word is. Denouement.
And I'll never remember it.
No.
We get a Deus Ex, Shamalama. That's what you get, and denouement. I'm doing that just to be annoying, but it's like denouement. I can remember it, but how are you gonna throw all of those characters into a centenary? Well, like
they are saying it's going to be big, it's going to be blockbuster,
amazing.
It's going to be stuff going on.
Scale doesn't equal to like you need runtime to make scale work. You can't like you can do scale. You can do the Doctor going to multiple parts of the galaxy. You can do that. We've seen that, but you can't like shove 1,000 characters in because they all take up screen time. And if you're doing a 45-minute episode or maybe an hour, that's
I think it's either going to be an hour and a half.
If it's an hour and a half, I think you could do it. An hour, you're going to be pushing it. But even so, it's like, how's it? I don't.
The last bit we have before we do talk about the episode at hand, because like I said, I have the most notes I've ever written.
And we'll probably get through like 3 of them before we
go, oh, we're out of time.
Yes.
Is that it seems the new companion has been cast.
Oh.
And I say this because this might not be true, but it's being heavily reported.
Okay, so take it with a grain of salt.
Yes, though it might not be true. It might come, but I'm sure most people have heard it by now because it's been reported by like reputable people saying, oh, and the new companion is Tanya Reynolds.
Who is Tanya Reynolds?
Have you seen Sex Education?
I've seen a million clips of it, and I've seen all the trailers.
Have you? Do you know the weird girl Lily who draws the weird sex aliens and things like that?
No.
Well, it's her.
Oh, okay.
Would you like me to find a picture?
I would, yes, please. Right. You probably see me teleport a bit if you're watching this on the camera, but I just saw who it was and I'm like, oh.
Yes.
And
Rang some bells.
How old is she?
Oh, I can find that out for you.
Because obviously in Sex Education, you're supposed to look like you're in high school.
Yeah, but they're obviously all playing younger, aren't they?
Yes, because I'm just interested to see, like, is she going to be playing younger or is she going to be playing older?
She is 31.
31?
She looks young, doesn't she?
Yeah. I was expecting like a 23.
I was expecting 22, not 31.
Okay.
Good on you, Tanya.
Yeah. I mean, now it's just, I'm just like, I mean, seeing that, she could play younger, so they could definitely go with a younger companion, kind of like how Bill was.
Or Rose at 19.
Was Rose really 19?
Yeah.
It's just because I was so young. They all looked old.
Yeah, I saw a fact. I sent you this fact name, but Billie Piper, how old she is now is the age Camille Coduri was when she played Jackie in
Oh my God.
2005. So Billie Piper today is the same age, could play Jackie basically.
I'm going to be killed by a Christmas tree.
That's how old we are.
Her best quote, by the way, like just the way, it's amazing.
I think I prefer, it's the thing, it's the slickeen. I think that's my favourite.
Jackie. 10 out of 10.
Best character.
Oh, yes. Screw the Doctor. Give me the Adventures of Jackie.
It's literally
Imagine Russell T Davies comes back and he only brings back Jackie.
No, it's literally my boyfriend's favourite character in Doctor Who so far is Jackie. Every time she's on screen, he basically claps and woos and cheers, and he's like going, Jackie! I'm going, wait until Love and Monsters. It's notoriously one of the worst episodes, but Jackie's in it loads. And he's gone, I can't wait for that then. Anyway.
Amazing. But yeah, no, so just be interesting. Like, I'm just kind of trying to picture, like, what kind of character she's going to play. Because they could go Bill or older.
Because the only character I've seen her play is weird. And I'm thinking, have they cast her on that basis? Or have they seen her in something else? Has she done a really great audition? It's probably more likely that.
Probably. But if she goes for weird, will the weird clash with the Doctor? Or are they going to try and make the Doctor more grounded?
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
You don't want them too weird, do you? Because
bit of weird.
That'll put people off. But.
Yeah. But it's just like...
But it's also like, if it's correct, Lydia West is the Doctor. Lydia West with Tanya Reynolds seems a bit of an odd combination. How old is Lydia West?
Is she younger?
That's what I was just suddenly thought. I have a feeling Lydia West might actually be younger than that.
Obviously, that's not unheard of, but I don't know.
Lydia West is 28.
Oh.
So she's 3 years younger.
Do you think we're going to get an older Doctor then? Than Lydia West?
Curious, isn't it?
It's interesting. Like, we're saying all these things about, the companion makes us think this, when in all honesty, still could be fucking anyone. You know, like, it could be anyone playing the Doctor.
Yeah, it could. How old is Tania Miller? Let's have a look. Come on. Ooh, why does it not say her age?
Oh, she had it scrubbed from the record.
You've got a fake identity. Why can't I find her age?
Wow, that's interesting.
It's not even on her. Not even on Wikipedia. It just says Miller made her professional debut in 2007. Did she just spawn in 2007?
No, but that's the classic kind of. You watch a film and they talk about someone just showing up out of nowhere with no record.
Is Tania Miller the actual Doctor?
Is Tania Miller like not a...
I've googled how old. There is nothing.
Have you googled date of birth?
This reckons on superstarsbio.com. It reckons she's 36.
It reckons.
I'd say she's older than 36.
I'd say she's older than like anyone ever, because I don't think like there's something going on here.
There's another one here on wiki.project topics that says she's around 35 to 45 years old.
How does no one know?
No one knows how old Tania Miller is.
How does no one know? Like, that's proper, like, suspicious. Like, I'm just, like...
Here,
she's had her record scrubbed. What was she? Was she, like, some sort of government spy for some years?
On lonelygirl15.fandom, it reckons she's 30. She's definitely not 30.
Why are people guessing her age? Like, there's no... This is fascinating.
edailybuzz.com. She's in her late 40s. Nobody knows how old this woman is.
I don't actually care how old she is. I'm just finding it fascinating that no one knows her date of birth.
Why is that not anywhere?
It's got to be somewhere. Because why would you keep that information secret? Like,
because it knows what school she went to. When did she go to the school? We can find that out.
Honestly, I think
she graduated from the Guildford School of Acting in 2004.
Can we contact the Guildford School of Acting and see if they've got records of her?
So say she was...
Because I don't think she has.
Say she was 21. Do you have 3 years acting school? Is it any longer? Say 3 years?
We'll say 3 years.
So if she was 21, that would mean she'd been born in 1983. Which would make her 39 now. Maybe that's about right. Maybe. I'd have said she's a bit older than that.
Maybe.
Sorry for saying you look older. Interesting.
No, but I look at me. I do think this is clearly some sort of government ploy.
No, I think she's the real Doctor.
I think it's a government thing. I think we're looking at like some sort of... I think Tania Miller is some sort of like government spy sent by like... I was going to say Russia, but with the current climate, I don't want to mention Russia. Ukraine, no.
We'll put that on YouTube. It'll get flagged, won't it?
Tania Miller loses job over allegations.
We'll be on a watch list and they'll find out I'm Ukrainian. I'll be shot tomorrow. Thank you for listening to the podcast. We made it to 40 episodes before Aidan was assassinated.
George feels very saddened by the fact he basically caused
He got Aidan killed by the Russian government.
Tania Miller feels somewhat responsible. Just like a big paper.
This all would have been avoided if Tania Miller just revealed her age.
Somehow it goes... Eventually you're forgotten, I'm forgotten. It just goes back to her age.
She has to hold a press conference. How old are you?
Putin comes out with a press conference asking Tania Miller her age. Like, just directly, like, nothing else. This hurts.
Anyway, that's enough news for this week.
Fucking
my last news segment ever. Oh dear.
Oh God.
Human nature. Okay.
Oh, I needed that. Fucking hell. I'm sorry. It was nice knowing you, Aidan.
Thank you for everybody that listened, and good night.
You're gonna say that at the end now.
My new outro, because I don't know how much longer I've got left. The Russians could appear at any time.
Just every time you do like a 5-minute monologue, like thanking everyone.
Take a bow. Lights go down.
You do a new one every week, and each time you're more and more bored with the fact you haven't been shot yet.
My chest hurts.
My jaw's killing. Like my throat. Like, what the hell? Oh, God.
Anyway, human nature. Come on. We've already given her over her thoughts, I guess, haven't we? But,
It's a wacky start, isn't it? Breakneck.
I love Searching for the Doctor plots. I love plots that just start you in the middle of it. Sometimes, it's nice to land the TARDIS, have a look around. But sometimes I just like, right, we're in it. I think it's just get on with it. And I kind of like this is just like running around. You don't really know we don't know what they're running from at all. So what is going on? Explosion, what's going on? And then we just cut to the Doctor in bed in his pajamas.
I like, isn't that like the only moment we actually see him in his pajamas, like sleeping?
And there's another one later on when... Oh, no, there's the other one, actually.
Is
that the one where Martha goes, sorry, you're not dressed yet? Yeah, that's the only one then.
I just had a thought. 'Cause it's like a huge part of this are his dreams, but it only ever has him sleeping once. And I just thought...
Maybe it does at another point, maybe briefly, but I can't...
I was weeping.
Seem to remember. No. I was probably having my dinner by then.
No, but I do get what you mean. It's like, it's a nice kind of like, here's your plot.
Gets you in it.
But it doesn't ruin it. Like, it's like, here's a little bit of your plot. They're being chased and now they're here. Deal with it. And then you have the cold open, which is it's a really good kind of cold open with the totally human. And then it starts, you're like, you what?
Because you're like, you what? You what now?
Say again.
Yeah.
I say hello.
Yeah. I like the way people talk in it.
It's great.
I love this kind of period thing. Like, just... I say hello.
I love
all those kind of things. I just like the way some people even when the doctors, John Smith rather, when they see Martha at the pub and it's like, "Would you accompany us back to the school?" It's like, "Well, I bid you good night then." And it's all like, I like the way people talk. Then
it's just a bit formal, isn't it?
Nice. We should bring it back.
I feel like we should bring some of it back. Like
I say hello.
I love honestly. Baines was like he's my standout in this. Like he's my standout who isn't the Doctor or Martha.
Yes.
Because
what about Redfern? The nurse, Joan.
I don't really like her that much.
Shocking.
I mean, she was good, but I don't know. I've never really been like yes, because I'm like, fair enough. Just like I
will clash with you there then, because I love her.
That's fair enough. Yeah,
I love Nurse Redfern, and the bit when
she has
like,
some. No,
her great granddaughter appears in the end of time. That gets me.
She is right. She is extremely well written. She has some great moments. I just find it a bit. I'm not like that. I don't know. Do you ever just watch a character and you're like, I'm just not with you. Like, I'm not latched on. I'm not like, yes. I'm just like, you're good. But like that just happens sometimes. I don't have any reason to not like her. And I don't not like her.
You just don't vibe with her.
Exactly. That kind of thing.
Interesting.
But who I do vibe with is Baines because I fucking love it. Like, before he turns into like one of the family, he's just not a nice guy.
He's a prick all the way through.
Like, he's a prick all the way through, but that's what I love about it. Like, it's like he becomes the son, but he's also basically still the same prick he was. Yeah. It's great. But
he's
he has
now a bit more.
But he was always a bit fucking weird, but I just love it. But like, what's quite interesting is I had this childhood bully, like in primary school, that looked quite similar to him. But I still really like Baines. So it's like I'm having this PTSD while I'm really enjoying the character. So it's like props to the actor. Seriously, he's great, and he does have some great lines. Like I love when he's stumbling through the forest, like he's wonky, but like I love how he goes, "I said hello," like just into the complete
ether.
Yes, and he's like really like wired on something. Like he's great. And like, do you like when they run at the end away from the explosion? Do you see how they all run? The Doctor's doing a run, and my God, none of them are running normally. It's amazing. Like Baines
is that thing with you running towards a camera and you don't know how much you've got to run, because if you run too fast, you're going to go straight into the camera. So you have to kind of.
Or it felt a little bit like they were probably just pacing it for Tennant because they know his pace. The others were like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
But no, Baines, I really like him, and I found him very, very entertaining, and I found him wackily, like not wackily, kind of wacky in places, a bit weird, but also creepy throughout. Like he had some funny moments, like because of the weirdness, but it's also like dude was consistently creepy and evil. Like when they did the head tilt, I'm like, that's so easily not creepy. But when they all do it, and he's got his like slight half eye open.
I don't think you really ever see him blink, do you? He's just kind of always.
That's actually I don't think you do.
John Smith.
And even when he's like frozen in time at the end there with the half smile and the slight, like it's like even in defeat the dude is like
so creepy.
Like it's like really good on the actor. Like I don't know, I just thought he was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
As well as all the other family. where
Well, he's the only one really.
he's the only one that really gets
Him
any
and,
play.
I guess Mother have.
Mother
big
was
role.
good because because with Mother we got to get to know the character before they became.
And
Mother.
we really like her before.
Yes,
But it's also one of those weird things as well. It's like, because it's on a rewatch, because I know she goes evil, I kind of forget she has the good bit first. Out of the million times I've seen this, I always kind of forget she has a good bit first. I'm always like, you bitch.
I know. Like,
and then she turns and I go, oh wait, no, I liked you before.
Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry. I love the way Martha catches her out.
Oh, it's great.
Where should I go? We could have sardines and jam. I could put a bit of gravy in the pot, which is stuff like that. I just go, yeah, that'd be nice. I just love that bit, like the way Martha. I'm going on to Martha straight away because it is a great episode for Martha because you have got stuff like when they're going through the journal and they go, oh, who's this girl you've been dreaming about? And it's Rose, and Martha's a bit like, oh, that bitch again. And she gives a look like, oh, for God's sake, it's always Rose. And that's the kind of stuff that I say, I do love Martha, don't get me wrong. She's very high. If, on a tier ranking, S, A, B, she'd probably be B, maybe. Yeah, she wouldn't be A, but she'd probably be B. I do really like her. But the thing my big thing, when I rewatched it not too long ago, I just thought, God, the Doctor was an absolute prick to her. And it was kind of like, all she kind of did was just a bit like, oh, it's always Rose. It was always Rose, never me. That kind of thing. But actually, the way she kind of she builds on that in some ways in this one, you can just see she knows that the Doctor isn't actually in love with her in any remote sense. He's just there. He just needs somebody with him, essentially. It's not like Donna was the best friend. It's not like Rose was the love interest. She was just company. That's essentially all she was. But it's the way she deals that with because in this episode, he's been going on about Rose for God knows however many episodes. And now he's fallen in love with this other person. He goes, well, clearly he's going to fall in love with everybody but me. But I like the way she's still like, but I've got a duty. I've got to save these people. I've got to get the Doctor back. And that is what is more important. I love you. She says at the end, I love you to death. She says that at the end, where she goes, bits. Yeah, well, I wasn't given an exact quote. I was just
should have done
giving the essence.
Yeah.
I say hello is the only quote I can remember.
Yeah, but she says that at the end, yeah.
Yeah, but she says that at the end. That's her saying, this is me admitting my feelings, but I know this is actually going to go nowhere because you fall in love with Rose. You fall in love with Nurse Redfern. Hello? You're not going to fall in love with me? No, you're not.
Just like for a day, baby.
Yeah.
Please. No, I do like that bit at the end, like where she says that. And she also says, you're not going to remember. She says, I hope you don't remember this. And when she says that, I'm like, I get that feeling, but also like, I hope he doesn't. And I'm glad he doesn't not remember it. Like he does remember.
Yeah.
And
he vaguely remembers, yeah.
And I just think it's does it ever come up again? I forget the continuity. Do they mention it at any point later on?
Not sure.
Not sure.
Might do.
But nothing.
But I don't see
that springs to mind.
There's nothing explicitly ever said with it. That's why some people say she's the rebound. Some people say she's just company. Some people say she would have been a better love interest. There are a lot of people that say
really,
I don't think it's ever really. It's not like, how David Tennant, because you can remember David and Tennant, you can remember the Doctor and Donna being like, I just want a mate. You can remember that. Yeah. You can remember them him with Rose on the beach going, Rose Tyler, you can remember that. Mm-hmm. There isn't one with Martha, which shows we can't remember one, which probably shows there isn't one. You know what I mean? So
realistically, is her moment this?
I'd say so, yeah.
This is her closure. This is her. This whole episode, also, there's a part of it which is kind of Martha loves the Doctor. He doesn't love her, and this is her kind of coming to terms with that, really,
and but
still loving him. Yeah, you can love someone who doesn't love you back. Like, it doesn't have to be the same amount, but the Doctor still cares about Martha, just not in that way.
In the same way, yeah.
And it's Martha being like, I do love him to bits. That's a shit, and it hurts sometimes, but I do understand the whole kind of like, it hurts, but I'm gonna stay in their life. They're gonna stay in mine. You're gonna have this traveling through the universe thing because you still mean something to each other. Doesn't have to be a quantifiable thing. Does not have to equal the same amount. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
The reason I like Martha so much is because she is probably the most human I've ever seen travel with the Doctor in a way.
Yeah.
Because you just have this like relatable feature, and it's like,
and it shows because I've made disparaging comments on Doctor companion romances before. It's not something I'm overly fond with, but actually, as I'm rewatching from series 1, as I've mentioned a billion times,
every episode.
Yes, it's actually something that I'm kind of coming to with a new perspective, treating, because I'm not watching it. When I'd rewatch things before, I'm watching it with my opinions. When I'm rewatching it now, I'm coming in, how would I treat this? Not, do you know what I mean? Because I'm watching with somebody who's not seen it before. I'm thinking, what would you make of this? What are you thinking? And a lot of the Dr. Rose romance stuff, I am kind of thinking, I can accept a lot of this now. In ways that basically, I accepted it, started not liking it, and now I'm coming back around on it again. Because there is things like you've said where he's just like, this is the man who's just been through the Time War. He can't find a new companion. Oh, he's found somebody who's quite good. He latches onto them. He needs some emotional support. But what I like about Martha in this sense is it shows that although this is we've done the Doctor companion romance. However, Martha shows you this is not the thing that is going to happen all the time. It was very much a one and done thing. It was just, he fell in love with a companion once. It was just one person that was very special. He tried to find somebody who lived up to that, realized he couldn't, gave up on the whole idea. And I like that because it does show you that, oh, this isn't just him going around falling in love with people 800 years younger than him. It's like there was one person who he just latched onto. So I can accept
for a multitude of reasons. Why do people fall in love, etc.
Yeah.
Like, we're not here to give you the love podcast.
The science of love.
But you're right, it is just like, it's a once in a lifetime occurrence for the Doctor.
Yeah. Because even like the love he has with River Song is genuine, but like they only get married.
It feels different.
They only get married to save the day. They don't actually get married. It's not a big ceremony. It's like, I love you. It's like, we need to save the day, so we need to get married.
I don't know how to phrase it, but River and the Doctor feel more like...
They feel like an open relationship.
In a way. Like they care deeply about each other, but they're not exclusive.
Yeah.
Like whereas Ten and Rose feels like if like no one could come near them. Like if when they're together, you can't romance either of them because it's like they're just each other. Like they are one. The way it feels with Rose and Ten is it feels like they're one person when they're together. With River and the Doctor, they're two clearly separate people.
Who do their own things, yeah. But there is definitely a genuine love there. And
yeah, of course.
And I always do think one of my reasons for like when I was against Phasmin is because the Doctor's been married, has lost River Song. I think it'd be quite wrong to just move on to some random girl from Sheffield. Do you know what I mean? You've gone from like intergalactic explorer to girl from Sheffield. And it's a bit like, that's pathetic. But even you need to up River Song, not down.
But even that, it's like the idea that to lose River, someone who you've been knowing you're going to lose for so long, and then you lose her, and it's like you can't rebound. Really, you can rebound, but you can't rebound and like Martha is like
in any meaningful
the rebound,
sense,
but the Doctor doesn't love her.
Yeah,
like
he just wanted somebody.
Yeah, he doesn't love her like he loves Rose. Does still care about her. Like I want to make that clear. But it's like for kind of after River to then be rebound, but love Yasmin. It's like I don't know. It's like it's a bit quick, bit kind of like I don't know. I don't know if the person I loved more than anything were to disappear out of my life, and then I find someone else the next day. I would like that. I wouldn't be like, oh, you're good. I'd be like,
you're not.
Everything reminds me of them. Everything. That's what it would be like. And you can't jump to that so quickly. And again, it's like we're talking about Yasmin and the Doctor because it's like it's Martha and the Doctor. It's like there's a friendship there. There's a deep, loving friendship. There is. And Martha loves the Doctor romantically. The Doctor doesn't love Martha romantically. And he can't. And even like maybe in like a different timeline, he could have done. But after losing Rose the way he did, and because Rose is like the once in a lifetime thing, it just wouldn't work. No. You know?
Yeah.
And it portrays it very well.
And also I think like even like with Nurse Redfern, I do think there is a genuine love there, but in a sense of that, I think a lot of the stuff that John Smith does are like subconscious things that the Doctor would love to have or would have loved to have had with Rose, for example.
Or
like
even
because I think
with another Time Lord in a way.
Yeah, because if you think about like School Reunion, I've just watched that, so it's fresh in my mind.
My favourite episode.
Yes. There's the bit where he says to Rose, you can live the rest of your life with me, but I can't live the rest of my life with you. And then you see this one where he has that like vision of a future where he dies with the other person. I think that's him like saying, this is what I would love to, this is actually, because he says that's the curse of a Time Lord. So he's clearly not happy with that fact that he meets all these people, then has to say goodbye to them, that he goes on all the time. Sure, he loves going around and saving people, yes. But I think really, what is John Smith exploring if not just him saying like, this is what I want. I just want to settle down. I wish I could just meet somebody for once and spend the rest of my life with him rather than seeing them die over and over again. Because he dies before Nurse Redfern does. He doesn't lose her. He goes first. I think that's a very important detail, that he's not a widower again, that actually he goes first and they live on. And I think that's like, so I do think like Nurse Redfern is kind of genuine, like, you are the kind of person I want, because she is headstrong. She is strong. I love the way that when she kind of first speaks to him, she's going, oh, you can call me Joan. Your name's John? Then she immediately calls him John. She doesn't ask for permission to call him John. Yeah. She just goes, your name's John Smith. And he goes, yes. And he goes, so John, there's a dance going on. And I just love the way she's just like, I'm not going to ask for your permission. I'm just going to call you John. She is headstrong. Yes, she has opinions of the time when she is quite racist towards Martha, but I love the way Martha fights back against that, though. It's like, I forget the quote she says. Did I write it down? Please tell me I did. Well, she just goes on about bonesing around. No, but she says something. She says something equivalent to like, you're what? Like before going on to the bones, and like Nurse Redford is like, shit. And then she does all the bones. And it's just, I just really like how this episode, it tackles that. And it's like it mentions it quite a lot, the racism of the time. But as soon as Martha's like, I'm not hiding anymore, like I'm not trying to blend in, she's like, every time she's like, you shut the fuck up, like just fuck off. Yeah, because I think it's like, you could say it's an easy thing for, oh, we've got a black companion Doctor Who now, let's just show racism. I think you could do that in a tasteless way. You could, everywhere they went to, you could show some new thing. But it is like, Martha is the first black companion. This is a new perspective we need in Doctor Who. So we don't see it all the time. In the Shakespeare episode, the Doctor just sweeps it under the carpet. Some people say it's very irresponsible for the Doctor to even go to the Shakespearean times. He's like, she could have just been whisked away. Anything could have happened. But in this one, you do get the, how can you tell if anything is clean with hands like that? Do you know what I mean? That kind of comment. And I do think that is an important thing for Doctor Who to do. You can overdo it, yes. You could have had every historical, everywhere they go to, somebody says some comment, you'd go, all right, I get it. But this way of doing it only a few times, but is a very good way of doing it. This is a perspective we've not had in Doctor Who before, and this is an important perspective to consider, that it's fine seeing all these white people gallivant in space, but what if they weren't white? And what if you did go to history, what actually would happen there? It wouldn't just be, you get to go wherever you want and do whatever you want. No. If Martha was a white companion, would she have been the maid? No, she probably would have been another teacher, or she'd have been nurse. But instead, she has to just be servant girl. And I think that's a very important, like, this is a perspective we need to see. And I just love how Martha is, again, kicking ass. She's just like, shut the fuck up. Like, even in that first moment where I'm pretty sure it's either Baines or the other one. It's the other one who says the hands. Yes, hands comment. And when they walk off, Martha's immediately like, I want to chuck this bucket at his head. And I'm like, yes! Like, it's like, I want, like, it's great. Like, she's like, she's clearly like, I'm going to go along with this just for the Doctor. But as soon as she's like, I don't need to go along with this at all, she's just not taking shit from anybody. And it's really just nice. Like, even like the dude who when Martha shows up to the dance and he's like, servant's entrance, she's like, fuck yourself, and just walks through. I'm like, yes. Yeah. And then that dude gets incinerated, like disintegrated. Same difference. Well, not same difference, but you know. It does the same thing. Yeah. Destroys your body. Yeah. Kind of looked a bit ashy, so I went with it. But it's just like, it had those comments, and it did it in such a way where it's like, it felt real. And also it felt real the way Martha would react. Like, it's just like, it's very much telling you, like, the shit they're doing here is wrong. Like, it happened at the time, fucking wrong. And you get to see
Martha basically telling these fuckers that it's wrong.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I think Martha really gets a way to prove herself in a way that, in an opportunity that Rose missed, and that is in the Doctor's absence. Because if you think about Christmas Invasion, Doctor's in bed for all of it. Rose kind of just hangs about. And she even gives up. She says there's nothing we can do. She does do that bit where she has the speech to the Sycorax, but it's quite ineffectual, and they all nearly get killed. They would have been killed if the Doctor hadn't swung the door.
I don't really blame Rose for that, because it's like you couldn't have had her kick ass with that, and then the Doctor wakes up and everything's sorted.
Yeah, but I'm saying like Rose
she doesn't get that moment.
Rose didn't prove herself in that story. She just proved herself over 2 series of being a companion and doing good things. But in the time where it's like the Doctor's gone, down to the companion, what do you do? If you think Rose had Christmas Invasion to do that, Martha has this one, and Donna has Turn Left to do that. Donna succeeds. Martha succeeds here, and Rose doesn't. And I do like the way that Martha is like, right, Doctor's gone, but come on, still get down to business. We've still got something to do here. I like that when the meteor comes down, and the Doctor's like, oh, well, John Smith is like going, it's nothing. It seems like it's here, but it's been miles away, and it's all I like that she just goes, right, where is that field? I'm going. And she's immediately just goes straight away. You can't go at this time, you'll break your leg. And she's just off.
Running headfirst into danger. Like it's really I just like that. Like it's like she wants the Doctor back, but is it really for I find it wonderful. Like when she's trying to get the Doctor back and she's like, now she's on, and she slaps him and she does all that. Like we're now on get the Doctor back mode. Is she doing that for herself? No, I feel like
she's doing it to save people and stop the family.
To save him and to save the entire school, to save the village. That's what I feel like it is. And it's really quite nice that, because it's like up until that moment, she was looking for him for advice through the kind of the video, which when did he have time to record that? But also through the video and stuff like that. It's nice, but it's also like when the advice runs out, what does she do? She figures shit out. She has to go. And she eventually manages to get the Doctor to come back, you know, although Joan is like a big part in that, in how she responds to the Doctor being, because she
ultimately convinces him to do it.
Yes, but who convinces Joan that the Doctor is even a thing? Martha. Without Martha, Joan wouldn't believe that the Doctor is real, and then the Doctor wouldn't come back. So without Martha, none of this would happen. Really, like without Martha, Doctor would be kind of fucked right now, and
he'd be useless if he was here on his own. Absolutely.
Oh God.
It's like the bit when he's looking at the TARDIS. He's going, I've never seen that before in your life. And the nurse is like, yeah, you have. It was literally in your journal.
You say, like, that's what I find interesting. Like, you say, like, it's like, is he thick there? But the Watcher's got to put, like, there's got to be a chameleon circle on fucking everything in his brain, really. Yeah. Like, he remembers
but
it, but I still
like that there's, like, just enough that he's kept Martha by his side. And there's just enough that there's still Doctor-y elements, like when he throws the ball at or Satsuma, whatever it is, he throws it at the pipe and it stops the baby. And there's still like these weird like bits that do just seep through. But then I like that ultimately you see these little moments and you go, of course, there's still enough of the character you like just linger in there. But then you get scenes where it goes, but this isn't the character there's still enough of the Doctor there, but remember, this isn't the Doctor. And I think that a good way is when you see when they are training the boys to shoot. And then immediately, like when, what was his name, Thomas Brodie Sangster? Because in all my notes, I just called him TBS because I couldn't think of any of his name.
Short stuff.
Was it Tim? Timothy. I feel like it was Timothy.
It was a T. Timothy.
I'm just going to keep calling him Thomas Brodie Sangster because I'm not very sure. Anyway, when he does something wrong or whatever he does, and they go, permission to give him a beating, sir. And the Doctor goes, permission granted. That is when you go, this ain't the Doctor. Remember, this is not the Doctor. I think that's one of those where you go, oh,
so what the fuck?
I don't want to see John Smith do that, actually, but it's like,
John Smith,
because this isn't the Doctor. This is John Smith.
John Smith.
This is a teacher from this time.
John Smith, teacher of the time. Interesting person, has some good qualities to him, but in all honesty, bit of a selfish prick in a lot of regards. Quite selfish.
Isn't in the end, because he does sacrifice
himself. He does,
himself.
yes, and that's his redeeming.
And like
feature.
Redfern does say, she says he was actually braver than you. Do like that, but actually up until that, it took a lot of encouragement.
He had
to get
do
there.
that, like up until that, he was willing to kind of sacrifice kids in a way. He does, but it's like he needed people around him to. he needed people around him to tell him that he can do better.
Yeah.
And that's good. And that is what happens in life. You have the people around you kind of build you up and they shape you who you are in a way. But also, the Doctor kind of never had anyone to do that.
Mm.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, John Smith, interesting, but... And I am very sorry you had to go, but I'm very glad he did sacrifice himself, but it is kind of like...
Yeah, well, it would be a bit of a boring show if he never changed
but
back,
he, as a person, like, it's the right
Yeah.
thing to do. And you're not really kind of going anywhere, really. You're still inside the Doctor, basically.
Mm.
In a sense, but it's interesting. Because I just find it interesting. Like, if you take up... Like, imagine if... It's kind of like a lobotomy in a way. Like, if you... Like, he's had a good chunk of his brain basically chopped out, and he's got the remainder left, and he's got to function on that. It's kind of what this does to the Doctor. So it's like you see bits of the Doctor there. Like you said, you see bits of the Doctor there and you're like, oh, I see this. And then you're like, other times you're like, I hate this. And it's like, it was really strange watching actually, because you're sitting there thinking, I'm watching David Tennant. He feels like the way he felt like the Doctor most to me, because he did feel like the Doctor to me throughout, was in his mannerisms, like the way he spoke.
And his hair.
Yes, obviously.
I love the way that everybody has really nice, posh hairstyles, and he's still got spiky hair. I think that's just like kind of... I actually wrote it as a negative because I thought that's a bit not very contemporary, but you kind of think it is still a bit...
It's a kind of a subconscious thing.
Through. Yeah.
Like when you do your hair, like you run your hands through your hair every morning or something, it's a subconscious thing in a way. Eventually it becomes muscle memory. So I like to think he'd wake up in the morning, do his hair and just be like, sure, it's how I look.
That's just what I do.
But no, it's just, I just like his mannerisms, which is very interesting because it's like, I'm watching this guy say things the Doctor would say. Like, when he said sorry, I felt like there was a bit where he said like, sorry, like he said it quite like when he said something wrong, like how he did when he did the Lion King speech in his first ever appearance.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's very much just the Doctor there.
Yeah.
But that's not the Doctor saying it. It's just very interesting. And, just beautiful portrayal, honestly, from Tennant.
Do you think it is David Tennant's best performance in Doctor Who?
Yes. No.
Because
yes. No.
I
yes.
think it is.
Yes, actually.
I think it is his best acting because he gets to do the Doctor. He does the Doctor very well, but he gets to play another character as well that is a very layered character. And it's not just playing a teacher. Done that before. He's playing somebody with complex kind of... I'm trying to find a note that I have about this, so I'm just going to ramble for a moment unless you have anything to
I can ramble about this because it's... I agree with you. It's wonderful because I think Tennant is, honestly, he's one of the best actors of our time. And if there's any actor on this planet I want to meet, it's him.
Let's go to Wales Comic Con.
I mean, you say that and I'm sitting here thinking, yes, I've got a car. Let's go. When is it? Book it right now. We just suddenly freeze. Did they
just leave?
Yeah.
Look, someone's like got the video version up, but they're on another tab. They're doing something. They just click on this tab now. It's just our chair's spinning. It's just we've gone.
I love how that's always a thing though in films, like the chair's spinning. How fast? Like you don't get up from a chair and spin it. No one does. But no, I just think Tennant's acting was fabulous in this, especially the moment where they're in the little house of the girl's dead family. Yeah. That whole scene with like everyone is acting brilliantly, but the way Tennant just switches from John Smith to he's scared of touching this watch, and then when he does touch it, you see the Doctor through him, and then you see him scared of what he's just. You see John Smith scared of the Doctor, and scared of that the Doctor is him. And that together he won't be anything anymore, and he doesn't want to go. And you see all of that, and it's like it's a good 5 seconds of like I'm talking, I'm scared, I'm suddenly the Doctor, I'm now really scared, and then I weeped at this.
You don't want to see him cry, do you? It's quite sad seeing your favorite people cry,
and I cry like that, like that's like a breakdown cry. That's like a relatable cry. It's properly like really just horrifying to see.
The note I wrote that I was just trying to find, I couldn't find it anywhere because it was on my 3rd page, was that I thought like him being more like is this what the man is? All he does all that speech, like going, why would I want to be this? Why would I want to do that kind of thing? I find that more believable than I do when he's going, I could do so much more. That whole speech at the end of time. Because I've always had issues with that. We've done a whole podcast about that. It's about our 5th episode or something. So go listen to that. But there's something more believable about, because they're both a man faced with death. That's what they are both are. The same man, in some ways, faced with the prospect of their death. Yet the one here, where John Smith realizes he is not John Smith and he needs to change. I find this one so much more emotional, so much more believable, and you can feel his pain more than I think you can with when he's doing the I could do so much more.
You know, I love the I could do so much more bit. I really like it, but I would understand why you like this one more, because it is beautifully done and it is so genuine. It's not a point of, it doesn't come from a point of kind of I could do more, which, as I've said, I do kind of get it, because he's a very short-lived Doctor and it's like kind of a waste in a way. But for the way John Smith reacts, it is honestly, it doesn't ever really, you can look at it and think, God, he's a bit selfish, like I have said. But now that I actually think about it, I don't really, he's kind of doing it for Joan in a way. The idea of what could have been, the idea that he loves her, and to not want to. And
also because even though you're being told you are the Doctor, you're being told that. You've not gone, oh wait, yeah, I am. You're just being told you are this thing and you need to do this thing and you will die. And there's actually, in some ways you could think there is no guarantee this is actually going to happen. This could all just be nonsense. And it's kind of just like, if like you now, as everything you've ever known, this is as far as you're concerned. But in this case, you've only been this way for 2 months. And that's weird.
But he believes he's had a whole life.
And if you were told that none of that was real, you'd be like, but this is what I know. I want to hold on to this. I like my life. Why would I want to get rid of this? And I think also because the So Much More one, the Doctor is dying, yes, but he's regenerating. Everything he's done for the past 900 years, he's going to remember.
Yeah.
He's not losing anything.
Yeah, but I've explained how it's, he has said it is a different person coming out of that. Same memories, similar feelings, but it is a different person coming out of that other end. In Family of Blood, because it's the second one, his farewell, his John Smith disappearing, it is very brilliantly told to the point where it's, as you said, maybe more hard-hitting than Tennant's actual regeneration, because although I like him not wanting to go, it feels completely understandable and justified, more so because you can relate to the idea of, imagine you find out that nothing you are is real. We can arguably, I would probably say the reason why John Smith's moment works so well is because we are both human. So we can relate to him as a human much more than we can as a Time Lord. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. We can't fundamentally relate to the Doctor. You can't. Because it is something unfathomable. I don't know why I added an N. Unfathomable as a human to understand.
2,000 years.
We can't comprehend that in our brains. We can appreciate it and understand it and look at it from an outside and be like, yes, this makes sense. But you cannot, and then no one can say, oh, I understand what he's going through there. You can't understand, like, you can relate to moments and apply it to your own experiences, but it's physically impossible to put yourself in the Doctor's shoes exactly. Do you get what I mean? But when he's a human, easy.
You can understand it, yeah. I think my favourite scene, second place would probably be when he is breaking down and Joan says, can we be alone, and has that whole speech to him where she convinces him to do it, and that kind of thing. I do love all that, but that would be my second favourite scene. My favourite scene is actually another John Smith one. Jean Smith? When he goes
John
French.
Jones. Yeah.
French. Jean Smith.
But the TARDIS picks a different location.
Yeah. But why do you think the TARDIS chose, or the Doctor chose this? Because he says when he puts the watch in, he says it will choose a story for me, doesn't he?
A teacher, someone, a figurehead like that.
I think the reason it chose 1913 is because it's quaint and it's nice, but it's on the cusp of war, so it's dangerous for the family to track him down. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, and also maybe it's the idea that the TARDIS likes a bit of danger. and likes.
It's kind of like, it's like if there was a war zone, but there's like just this tiny little peaceful hut on the edge of it. It's that, isn't it? But in terms of, anyway, my favorite scene. And when I think I told you this a few days ago or a few weeks ago, whenever I did it, I was watching a video essay or something. They mentioned this scene. I was like, oh my God. So I immediately went to BBC iPlayer, just played the scene and cried like a baby. And it's the bit where all the kids have the guns, the Scarecrows are breaking through the fence, and the Doctor holds up the gun and fire, and it's all that bit, and they're all shooting, and the kids are crying. The Doctor doesn't fire a single shot. It's that bit there, because that's when you go, and the Doctor has trained these kids. John Smith is, I can't say that. You know what I'm on about. John Smith trained all these kids to fire these weapons. Yet when he does it, when it's actually time for it, the kids don't want to do it. They've been doing, be a man, fire guns, serve your king, and all this kind of thing. But actually, when they're faced with it, they're going, what am I doing? And the Doctor is the one holding that gun, looking at them, thinking, this is wrong. And I think that's kind of those moments you go, this is a bit of the Doctor seeping through and actually just showing that
John Smith
still deep down has the same values. And he's holding that gun and he doesn't fire. And my favorite detail is the way that there's no Murray Gold music over it. It's children's choir. And I love the way that's like the sound is saying, this is what these boys should be doing. But this is what these boys are doing right now and will be doing next year. And
you see them doing it a bit.
Yeah. And I just absolutely love that moment. Just the choir detail is so good. To have those kids crying is a good detail.
Often you see in TV shows and films, you see the children going off to war, but usually it's an expensive actor who's about 35 playing a 15-year-old. But these were all kids, and they felt like kids. And even in the scene when you see them at war, they felt like kids. And it's like, imagine, just like my grandfather died before I was born. Not in the war, but he joined the army at the age of 17. So it's like, there's so much like to the idea of the propaganda and the idea that war is something glorious and you get honor from it, and you don't, because you are literally just a number on a page being sent off to just hold a piece of land. And the way this episode portrayed the idea of young boys being sent off to war was heartbreaking, but real.
And real. It does it in a way that some things don't often do. The kind of you've seen. We watched Kingsman the other day.
The King's Man.
The King's Man. Yeah, the King's Man. And that handled war in a horrendous way.
Fucking terribly.
That did. Yes, it does show you that there's it shows you the horrors of the war when they all run out of the trenches and all get gunned down. Yes, but it does it in a stylized and quite fun way. Whereas the kind of thing, actually, you don't necessarily need to see big explosions and blood and guts and all these numbers of people getting down. All you need to see is two children in a muddy ditch with a bomb heading towards them. And you just go, Jesus, that's what the war was. You don't need to see all these you don't need a big... They've clearly just done that in some field in Cardiff somewhere. You don't need some elaborate trench to do this. You don't need 1917 doing one shot all the way through. And there's some absolute tenuous story. You don't need that crap. This, I think, does it better than any war film I have ever seen. Genuinely. I'm not just saying that because it's Doctor Who. I genuinely think this does it in a way that is just like more real. Because you see adults do it and you see things and you kind of think, oh, it's a bit like video games I've played.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that you can show horrors. You can show Saving Private Ryan. You can see all these horrors of war.
But
I think like you can... Showing the actual emotional impact is seeing children on a battlefield.
Because I'd say have you ever seen Hacksaw Ridge?
No.
Like, it is probably my favourite war film because of the way it portrays it, because he's a pacifist medic, and it's that idea that wants to save people, and it's him doing that while still being shot at and through the horrors and all that. But it's Andrew Garfield's in it, he plays the main character. But Andrew Garfield quite young, like can look quite young, but it's also like, I would agree with you in the sense of seeing an actual child in the war. Doctor Who is the only one that comes to mind. Do you get what I mean?
Because most things, if you see children in war, they've evacuated, they're relatively safe. Not completely safe, but they're evacuated. They're in a better environment. It's like, oh, this is what children have to go through in war. I know the Second World War, I know it's different, but it's kind of like, there's something more visceral about this. But then seeing that he survived because of bringing Doctor Who into it to lighten it up, seeing that he actually survived by way of the Doctor is nice. The Doctor isn't there directly saving him, but he had the visions of it by touching the Doctor's watch, and he knew that bomb would drop at that moment, so knew to avoid it.
It's again that idea that the Doctor, like we've mentioned this a while ago, I think, it's the idea that the Doctor does affect lives, even by being them for the tiniest amount of time. And it's
so I love that the way
sometimes it's not for the better. Sometimes they're so latched on to the idea of the Doctor they never give up. But sometimes it is for the best, and it's the idea that two kids in war, survived because of just this one thing that happened to them.
And I also, the thing I love as well is that Thomas Brodie Sangster, because I can't remember his character's name.
If you're going to say fucking character's name.
I also think this is probably my first crush.
Where's that come from?
Because I was thinking about this recently. I think my first two crushes were Thomas Brodie Sangster here, because obviously I was 6 at the time. It would be weird now, but I was 6
Just
at the
to be
time.
clear,
yes.
he means at the time of
I know
viewing.
the Russians are coming for me. I don't want the police coming for me too. But I was 6 at the time. I do think he was my first crush. And then Russell Tovey in Voyage of the Damned when he's playing Alonso.
Really?
I think they were genuinely
You really liked Alonso?
I think they were my first crushes.
I find him wildly unattractive, but that is fascinating. I love that. That's amazing.
Pretty sure they were my first crushes.
Alonso.
Anyway, what was my point? I completely forgot my point. I was just watching it going, because I was watching it going, pretty sure you are. I can't think of any. Anyway, because remember, it's the kind of thing when you're a kid, you don't know it's a crush. You're just obsessed with somebody and you don't know why. And looking back, you go, it's a crush, isn't it? Anyway, where was I going? Got distracted.
We were talking about kids in war and you went, crushes.
And I was like, what kids have I fancied? As a kid, not now.
Thank God you're doing the editing. I could ruin your career.
You just, that's the clip you'd post on Instagram. What kids have I fancied? And then we get all
the traction.
You'd just put that, you'd edit it in a way. So I go, what kids have I fancied? The Russians are getting me. And that would be it. And people would go, what is this podcast? Might give us a bit higher listening numbers, actually. But anyway, no. The point is that actually, because he's got this watch and he shows the girl, like, the visions of the Doctor, it terrifies. I love that the Doctor isn't even present. He isn't even doing anything. Yet the family are actually, the girl of the family is scared off because she just sees a vision of him being terrifying. And I find that I think it's, is it the Nurse Redfern who says it? Or is it Martha? Somebody says at some point that no, it is Thomas Brodie Sangster, actually, when he's saying the Doctor is terrifying and dangerous and this and that, and he goes, but he's wonderful.
Yes.
And I love that idea that this is a kid who has seen the Doctor's dark side. He has seen those elements of Time Lord Victorious being brought in to foreshadow what's to come. Yet he is still impressed by the Doctor. He still loves what he's seeing. And I like that effect. That we do this thing where you see the Doctor and you see the Doctor's dark side, and sometimes people are put off by that. But this is somebody saying he can be dark, he can be the oncoming storm, he can do all these things. But at the end of the day, he is the greatest man out there.
And he saves lives. It's like he saves lives when it comes down to it. He is the reason his name is the Doctor is because he saves people. And I just think this two-part is a beautiful kind of exploration of that fact. And it explores who the Doctor is in a way that can't ever... we've seen
it's hard to do in other
You can explore
senses.
the Doctor. Like, you can explore him, putting him in situations, seeing how he reacts. Like, we see that day to day. But if you put the Doctor looking at the Doctor from an outside perspective and you see that...
Questioning, is this what he would really want?
Is this a good person, ultimately? It's fascinating. And then the moment when the Doctor shows up again is honestly probably my favourite, one of, if not my favourite moment in all of Doctor Who. I love a character I love coming back, and they're kind of fighting the fight. They're inner demons. They fight outside demons. It's the fighting through pain. I love that, and it's the idea that John Smith chose to fight through the pain of himself, and chose to die for the Doctor to come back, and the Doctor comes back, and he does it in such a gorgeous way.
Because I do think there is like the sense of when you're watching it, you're not convinced it is the Doctor still. Because you
first time I watched it, not the Doctor.
Yeah, because you can still go, well, it could be, it couldn't be, or you could literally watch it going, oh, he's not done it. And then he hands that watch over. You're like, what are you doing? And it turns out it's all fake, and pressing all those buttons were for the fun of it. It's a great way to do it, rather than having a bit where the Doctor says, well, John Smith says, I'm going to do it, and you see him open the watch. I think actually just not seeing him open it is more powerful.
It adds to, like, and I think it makes it a private moment, actually.
Between him and Redfern, yeah.
And him and the Doctor. Do you get, like, it feels like just a private moment for the Doctor himself as like a person. We don't need to see that. He's just, John Smith has died and the Doctor's back, and it's just a very beautiful and heartfelt idea in my mind when I think of it. And then when he does come back, it is like this, shit, has he done it? Has he not? Like the first time I saw it, I remember being like, oh, maybe he's done it. Maybe he's, like, I was like hoping. It wasn't like I'm convinced he's back. I'm like, I'm hoping he's back.
Yeah.
But then when he pressed all the buttons, and then when the fucking well, like that, like I love his wells, and it's just like he says well, and then he just goes into techno babble and just ruins them with words and a couple of button presses.
And then we get into the Fury of the Time Lord whole section. Well, I love that, where he's actually, I feel like he's punishing them because he's kind of had this perfect life, and he's gone, you took that away from me. Yeah. Even in a sense of,
and you took that away from Joan.
And also like a sense of, you even showed me what I could have, and then you took it away from me. So I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to imprison you and make you suffer. And I'm not just going to imprison you in Storm Cage, where River Song breaks out every week. I'm going to imprison you in 4 different ways on opposite ends of the universe, where you will never escape and you will be there forever. You wanted to be immortal? I will make you immortal. But you will never, ever get out of this situation. Cruel. Is it justified?
Is it for us to decide?
Exactly. But it's just like, I like the way that they do that. He doesn't, they blow up the ship, but you can kind of tell he doesn't want them to blow up in that ship because he tells them to run and then immediately runs himself. So it's almost like he's going to follow me in a way.
It is, it feels like they deserve it because of like what they did to him, and also what they did to everyone else and to the kids and all that. Like they deserve it. But it is a little bit kind of like that Doctor being like,
showing how much power
I'm punishing you because I can do this in a way as well. And it is like the perfect metaphor of like, these evil people get what they wanted, but in the most twisted fashion. The chains one, just being chained up forever. It sounds so simple, but if you think about it, chained up forever, what kind of life is that? And then you have the black hole, like the star, the Wolf Star kind of doing its thingamabob. Because it's not a black hole, because then she'd be spaghettified. That would be death. But then you have the mirror thing, which honestly I think the mirror thing is one of my favorite things in Doctor Who, because you have that corner of your eye, you see something in a mirror. What is that? It's again, feels like such a Moffat thing to do.
I was just about to say if it was like a Moffat thing. That.
So well done, Russell there. It's really
not Russell, Paul.
Paul. Why did I say Russell?
Because we're thinking Russell T Davies era, but he did not write this episode.
Well done, Paul, for writing it in the Russell T Davies era.
And potentially in your book first.
Yes.
10 years early.
Which is arguably not in any era. So,
no,
kind of scupping my plan there.
Doctor in it, but it's not in an era.
Well done, Paul, because that is fucking incredible, that. But my favourite one is what happens to Baines, the son, just becoming one of his... Because he created the soldiers.
Yeah.
He becomes one of the Scarecrows, and he just has to become something which is immortal and watch everything he... Like, well, he's frozen in time, so can he still watch? I don't know. But either way...
I think it'd be a sense of he would be conscious.
Yes.
Otherwise,
his body's frozen.
Paralysis, that stasis thing where you've not achieved anything.
Yes. So he's watching everything, seeing life happen, seeing everything, seeing kind of...
I think they've just said he's kind of like, he's in that stasis-y kind of state, because you'd go, you could easily get out of that. Whereas you make it that he can't move, that means you're stuck, but he would definitely still be conscious through it.
And he'd watch everything, and just, he's been forced to create something, he's been forced to be something he created, and he has to just be something so simple. Like, it is such a simple punishment, but it is probably the worst one in a way.
Yeah.
Because you are just there watching life progressed. And it is the thing that is scariest for all of these, for the family, is the idea their life is so short and they wanted to live forever. So what is their punishment? Is it the living forever? Or is it the fact you get to watch life around you continue? That's why I think the son's one is the worst, because he has to watch other people live. And to him, that would look like they're living forever. And it's horrifying. And it's brilliant. Horrifying, though. And is it justified for the Doctor to do that?
Not for us to decide. We're not demigods.
As me as a person, it's cruel. It is. But for what but like if I look at them as people, like, but
cruel but understandable.
Yes, that's how to phrase it.
You can't
cruel
think,
but understandable.
You think,
if I were the Doctor, maybe I would have done the same thing. But if I were me, probably not.
Yeah. But then also it's like, it's one of those, like, if you were in that situation, you'd go, I wouldn't think of that. But if somebody was like, you could do this, you could go, oh, good idea.
That is a fair point, though. Like, that is a fair point. If someone took me away from the person I love more than anything, and I had a chance of not redemption, but revenge.
You wouldn't necessarily think of it, but if someone suggested it, you'd go, yeah.
Like, let me tell you, the problem with me growing up with Batman is I am quite like, if anyone hurts anyone I care about, I'll...
Death.
Well, not death, no. Maybe breaking the lower spine. Like, it's just, I will beat you to a pulp in my mind. Like,
I do think we are running out of time. So I'm cutting off your Batman segment there.
I was done, but thank you.
I have one last thing to say, and then we'll do final thoughts, and then we'll end that there. Very quick one. Scarecrow's creepy. Nice little detail. And also another, just creepy because it reminds me of the Autons in a way. Yeah. But lifeless things. The thing I really liked about them is when it was just a nice addition, I think, which was just kind of sweet in a way. Like when the kids obviously are gunning the Scarecrows down and they're weeping because they think they're killing people. Best scene. You find out. The kids then find out they haven't killed anyone, and they will look happy about that. And I just think it's just nice giving them just giving them something, because it's like it turns the scene. It is a traumatic scene, but it gives it just a little bit of hope. They didn't do anything bad. They just thought they were, and it's just nice. Yeah. So, final thoughts. Let me just check my notes. Well, you don't have long, so give me final thoughts. Well, I can read quickly. Let me check my notes. Final thoughts. I just adore it, and it's brilliant and amazing, and I just think it's amazing. And one of my favorite quotes from Martha, because I just found a quote in here, is when she's holding the gun and she says, "Scared and holding a gun. It's a good combination." Like, it's just like, that summarizes kind of, and I think it's a wonderful, just last thing, I think it's a wonderful foreshadowing of what Martha becomes, actually. Joining UNIT, becoming kind of the soldier in a way. Because you said you got the best friend, a love interest, you kind of got the soldier in this. Yeah. Like, Captain Jack but he is already a soldier, whereas Martha becomes one because of the Doctor. She also, just before she joins UNIT, she appears in a few episodes of Torchwood. Oh, I'm watching Torchwood. Done. I can't wait for the Darude Sandstorm intro. Like, I cannot wait. But no, just love it. And also when she shouts at the Doctor, "God, you're rubbish as a human," and I'm like, yes. Yeah. It's just nice. But yeah. No, I said that at the start of this that it would probably be in both of our top 5 episodes ever. I've just looked at, as we were building up to the return of the podcast, I was doing loads of rankings on the Instagram. So if you don't follow us on Instagram, go to EDW_podcast. He'd message me for like one of the 2 rankings to check like the important ones. Well, I've still not posted it yet, but I will. I was building up to that because it's the Doctor. You got to build up to that one, haven't you? But I posted my ranking of the 10th Doctor era, which for some reason has 81 likes. That's a lot of likes, that is. But for our account anyway. And I ranked Human Nature / The Family of Blood 4th in the Tennant era, which I think is a pretty good placement. What was number 1 again? Stolen Earth. Then Turn Left is 2, then Waters of Mars, and then this one. That's pretty justified. I'd put Waters of Mars above Turn Left, but that makes sense. As long as they're together, like, it's fine. Yes, it is 3rd. So, yes, it's... Yeah. I think it's incredible. I believe this is actually my mum's favourite episode of all time. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it is. It's amazing. When I posted on Twitter saying we're recording this one today, Will, who was joined us for our Let's Kill Hitler episode, said, solid 9 out of 10. No, not a 9 out of 10. It's a 10 out of 10. It's a 10 out of 10. Beautiful pair of episodes. Yeah, absolutely. Not a single fault. Nope. The only faults I had were unclear why they're in hiding and why they had to hide.
because they couldn't run away. Because if they run away, the family would catch up to them, so they keep having to run. But by hiding, they just have to live out the 3 months.
It was essentially, that was it, 3 months. Because I put unclear why they're in hiding and why they had to hide, but I'm sure they'll explain it. That's all my note was. And you're right, they say the 3 months thing.
They die in 3 months.
That makes sense, yeah. My only other negative was hair. And then I've explained that I've actually turned that into a positive. They were my only negative things.
I don't have any negative points. Obviously, I said as with anything.
Well, I tried to find some just to be
I tried to find some as well.
Truly critical,
but it's like they are just really good episodes. Like as with like anything, kind of latch on to some people more than others. But even the people I didn't latch on to, like Joan, for example, still important, great character. Yes. Just factually is. So I would agree with you. I would give these episodes
10 out of
10 out of 10.
Yes. So next week we'll be doing The Empty Child / The Doctor Dancers, which I have just watched, so I'm gonna have to watch it again.
That's
but
reminds me of when I was doing the Capaldi, when you made me like watch Capaldi,
and you just skipped the ones that we'd already done. Yeah. So we'll have to watch them again. Oh, gosh, I might just watch a video essay about it and be done with it. It's a few clips here and there. But that's next week. Join us then, and good night from Aidan.
See you, everyone. Bye-bye.